But if anybody has questions, feel free to raise your hand and we can get to them. So to start, we're going to cover what makes Facebook and Instagram stand apart from other platforms on social medias, and the 3 common mistakes that people often make when they are DIY advertising on Facebook and Instagram, the 6 fundamentals of effective Facebook advertising, and then the C.A.R.E method and the Facebook ecosystem if we have time. So my name's Quinna, and I was not that long ago kind of struggling to start my first business. And now I work with a team who runs ads for tons of different businesses. It spends over $10,000 a day. So all that to say that I've learned some strategies that are really working, and that's what I want to share with you guys. When I first started my business, I was really excited. I wanted to have a big impact on the community, and I also wanted to get profitable. But when I first started, there was not any big bang. I didn't get a lot of business, and it was just because I really wasn't doing any good marketing, and I just hadn't taken that into account. So I just spent a lot of my time on organic marketing. I was putting up flyers. I was featured on newsletters, but at the end of the day, I was literally personal messaging tons of people just to get enough business to like make ends meet. And I was really frustrated. I was exhausted, and I just didn't have any real strategy, so I couldn't make any real impact. And then I basically stumbled onto Facebook and Facebook ad. Somebody hooked me up with one, and then all of a sudden I started getting a lot more people were reaching out to me, and I was kind of just floored. I was like, wait, this was just one ad, you know, to a small town, but it really changed the game, and it gave me a lot of insight into what I needed to do differently with my website, with my business. And I realized, like, if I want to make a really big impact, I have to advertise in a way that is going to get in front of the right people who are actually interested in what I'm doing. So I realized that to make significant impact, have financial freedom, and have a more automated system to kind of generate leads without having to put in a lot of effort every day, that I needed to learn how to do it. So I invested in a mentor who taught me all the things that I know. So the first thing that makes Facebook and Instagram stand apart from the other platforms is that the performance is just incomparable. So the team that I work with has done some tests across all of the other platforms and has found that the results are, there's just not any real like comparison. And so that's why I'm focusing on Facebook and Instagram today. The second thing is there are more people on Facebook than on any other platform. So there's over 2 billion people, which just basically means and all over the globe. So depending on what type of business you have, chances are somebody is going to be interested out of that 2 billion. 3 is that you can create highly customized ads that are creative and unique. So I know for me, when I'm listening to the radio or watching TV, I tend to just tune out ads. I know that they're not personalized, and so I don't want to listen to them. But with the Facebook platform, you can actually create ads that don't feel like ads, because you can speak to people really personally and be able to convey your message in a more organic feeling way that makes people feel like, oh, wow, this could just be a friend on my newsfeed, instead of feeling like I'm targeted by some big company that doesn't actually care about me. They just want my money. So that really makes it stand apart. 4 is the relationship building capacity. So you're able to really engage with people more directly, instead of just like basically just spewing out like, hey, just buy my stuff, buy my stuff. You can create different tiers of ads that are going out to people depending on how well they know you. So somebody who you have never been in front of before is going to communicate with you differently than if they've seen you a bunch of times. And so the way that you can get in front of people it's great, because you can target people based on whether they've seen you before or not, which is really great. And you can be able to build more trust and rapport through the types of ads that you're giving, instead of just saying, hey, I want you to buy my stuff, like without any real relationship building capacity.
There's I think it's going to take speed, but there is already a question from the audience. if is Facebook an old demographic, if you're going for younger people? I hear that Facebook is for boomers. If you're looking for a younger audience, is Facebook right for you?
So Facebook and Instagram are joined together, and there's a lot of young people on Instagram. I would say that Facebook does have more older people, but there are also a lot of youth on Facebook. I mean, I'm young and I'm on Facebook. And I think that one of the things that stands apart from for younger people is that you can get a lot of information. Like Facebook is a reading platform more, and Instagram is more of like a picture-based platform. So it's also going to depend on what type of ads you want to put out. So if you are reaching out to a younger audience, you might want to put more on Instagram, but you can still reach a lot of young people on Facebook. So no, it's not outdated.
Okay,
For
so,
younger audiences.
so I don't want to get you off track too much, but someone from the audience, thank you, Sunshine. The largest demographic group on Facebook users is between the ages of 25 and 35. 18.8% are male and 12.8% of the population are female as of 2022. I don't know where the other percentages go, but there you
A
go.
lot of
Some,
dogs on there.
yeah, well, they're bots and Android bots.
So not exactly one. But, okay, 5 is that you can do really unique and very specific targeting. So what I mean by that is that when you know who your ideal client is, if you have like a demographic of the people who you know are most likely to buy your products, you can actually target them based on their interests, based on the pages that they've liked. And so you are able to really put your ad in front of the people who actually are going to be interested, and you can do this based on relevance. So if you have, say, an email list, you can actually target people based on the similarities of your email list. And I don't want to get too much into like different audiences that you can create, but you can do very, very specific targeting. So the better that you know your audience, the more likely it is that you'll be able to get some results based on that. 6 is they help online entrepreneurs to build a following or move to the next step. So if you're hoping to kind of build an email list, if you know that your particular offer is going to take some nurturing, then you can get people into your funnel. And what I mean by funnel is not like the type that you find in your kitchen or in your toolbox. It's a really simple landing page, or there's a couple of different ways to break that down, but I'll get into that a little more later. It's especially the build a following or move to the next step is great because you can really just drive people to take a very specific action as well. If you know you want people to book a call with you, or if you have a certain strategy to get people to opt into whatever your service or program or offer is. So that's really helpful. The other thing is that if you have more money, you can build your audience more quickly. So in comparison to, say, like a radio ad with the Facebook ads, the more that you spend, the faster and further that you can reach people. It's more of a guarantee, as opposed to if you put your ad on a radio, you know that whoever's listening is going to hear it, but you don't know who's going to be listening or how many people. Whereas when you are running it out on Facebook and Instagram, because they have so many people, they can basically put your ad out to more people the more that you spend. So you're able to really grow more quickly if you have more to spend, which is a really good opportunity. The other thing is that they are really great for testing your offers and your messaging. So say you have a new business idea and you really want to get a sense of if it's going to resonate with people or not, you can start by running an ad and then get feedback based on the metrics to see what part of that ad is resonating or not. So there will be different metrics that will let you know that you need to change the way that you're writing because of how people are clicking on the ad, or that you need to change your landing page to make it more congruent, or your headline. So there's different things that you can change based on the information that you're getting. And you can really test like, oh, is this a viable offer that I'm giving, or is my audience not interested in this? Do I need to try a different audience? So you can get a lot of clarity about how to refine and make your offer more like desirable to people based on those metrics that you can get. You also have a really unparalleled retargeting opportunity. So I've talked a little bit about how you can target and retarget. And what I mean by that is when you're first running an ad, you can go into the targeting and choose exactly who you want it to go to. Then the next layer of that is that you can see who has actually opted into your service. Like, for example, if you're running a video ad, you can actually see exactly how long people watched your video, and then you can send them a different ad based on how much of that they've gone into. So if someone's watched 3/4 of your video and it's like a 15-minute video or even like a 5-minute video, you know that they're probably interested, but that they were distracted or they had something come up and they didn't opt in. So you can actually send them another ad that is maybe a different ad that's more personable because now they know you and chances are that they're interested in what you have to offer. And then you can continue to build that relationship with them based on that interest. So it actually really lowers the ad costs as well, because now instead of running your ads to a huge audience of people that you're hoping are going to be interested, now you're running these very specific targeted ads to people who have already shown interest. And so that's a much smaller audience. And so you can get it in front of people with a cheaper ad cost. And it's just more, it can become more and more personalized as well.
And when you do that targeting, you could target a single person?
No.
Or is it like a group? Because you said like if somebody watched 3/4, is that a single person?
So it would be like, if there was only one person, then yes, your ad would just go out to that one person.
Okay, but it's a group, so.
But yeah, it would more be, the way that you do that is like, you choose you make a custom audience of the people who have engaged.
Okay.
And then I wouldn't recommend doing it if you have less than like 100 people or less than 50 people. I guess it depends on how much you want to spend, but the more people, the better. Because if you, so say you have like 10 people in that, and then you're spending even $1 a day, they're going to be seeing that ad over and over and over again. They're going to get so tired of seeing it.
You have an X amount of ads that go out and you're only putting it to 10 people or whatever.
Right, exactly, because your spend is going to depend, like, it's going to make an impact on how many people it goes out to. So if you have like 10 people in your audience and you say you're spending like $10 a day, they're going to be seeing that ad over and over and over again, and it's
Good to know.
that's not going to be great. So it's good to have a larger audience when you are doing that, and
that's for the retargeting specifically.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and yeah, so I actually recommend that people do like a $1 to $5 a day retargeting, depending on how big their audience is,
Awesome.
because you can get in front of so many people with that tiny bit of ad spend in front of the people who are more interested. And the other thing is that I would also sometimes separate like the people who are like, say the people who have seen half of your video as opposed, or like a third of your video as opposed to people who have seen 3/4.
Okay.
Because the people who have just barely gotten to see you are going to be at a little bit of a different level than the people who are
Still
really
stranger,
interested.
yeah.
Yeah, it would be like the difference between, I don't know if you guys have heard of like hot audience, cold audience, warm audience.
But now I have.
It's basically a cold audience is the people who have never seen you before. They're just completely unfamiliar with you. The warm audience is people who have seen you once or twice. They kind of are getting to know you. The hot audience is people who have seen you a bunch. They're familiar with you. They're kind of like, should I buy? So yeah, you can kind of get that. Is there any other questions?
When you're reviewing ads and the criteria, various criterions, is there any key one that you find is like a metric that you're always measuring over others or looking out for that's influencing its performance?
I mean, the very, very key criteria that is important to me just overall is like, regardless of any of the metrics in there, are just like leads. Like, are you getting any results directly? Because in the very beginning, when you first start to run your ads, the metrics can be a little bit all over the place. So when you don't have a lot of ad spend and you have a new ad account, it's very hard to correctly interpret because you don't have enough data to get a clear sense. So it might say, oh, your click-through rate is, 369% because there's been 5 clicks.
Right.
Like,
It's
so,
not a real measure.
exactly, so it can take a little while.
6-12 months.
It's more about the ad spend than about the time frame. So it's more like the more that you spend, the more reliable the data will be. And that also will make a difference with your pixel seasoning. So when you first start an ad, I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse anyone. When you first start running an ad, you have a completely unseasoned pixel. And that means that you are teaching the algorithm how to interpret what your ideal client is. And the more that you get people to click on your ads, the more that pixel is going to target those types of people. So that there's a lot to go into in that, but in the beginning, it's not super reliable because you're just gathering that data, really.
Yeah, so you see that volume and spend is what you're really buying the data at first, it sounds like, to then be able to approach a better strategy later on.
Exactly. Yeah, you're really just getting a sense of what's working, but I would say that the click-through rate is like really important once you do start getting a sense, because that's going to tell you like how your copy is resonating with people and how your picture is resonating, because it's really important to just like get people to stop the scroll, read your headline, and then read your ad. So having really good pictures, or if you're doing a video, like something that's really going to stop and get people's interest, because when it comes down to it, the whole point is like stop and look at what I have to offer you. And then, you're going to provide that value a little lower down, but first you're just like, hello, I'm here. I have something to show you, I'm your people. And then, and then you can keep on sharing what you have to
It's a
share.
good place to set expectation for how to approach it.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I'm curious if it can be set to a localized rhythm, because, for me, it's like, I wouldn't want to target 2 billion people across the world, my like products that you have to come pick up at the farm or whatever.
Absolutely.
So it'd be like, do you target to certain like groups?
So you can target to a specific area. So you could say within 25 miles of this location, say, oh, Nevada County. Or like, you can target a really small area. And in that case, you spend a lot less as well, because you just are wanting to get your ad in front of those specific people. The only thing with that is that this isn't actually a negative thing. I didn't mean to make it sound negative. You don't want to do a ton of detailed targeting when you're targeting a really small audience, because you don't want to weed out people who may or may not be interested. Like in this type of a town, you might want somebody who isn't interested specifically, because they might tell their neighbor or their friend, or like, oh, so you don't really want to limit that, like maybe an age range a tiny bit. Because you're like, oh, I know that an 18-year-old isn't going to be interested in my financial retirement funds or whatever, like if it's something really specific like that. But yeah, that's a great, it can actually be really great in the beginning.
So like on that note, like if a farm owner was trying to target a customer, they might go to like Chico, where it's very agriculturally heavy, and like have ads over there, although it's a neighboring county, that could still be a benefit to them.
Totally.
That kind of
Yeah, it just depends on what exactly they're looking for, if they want to be selling their food to those people or not. But yeah, that could be super helpful.
And then my other question was, you said that it's like, between $1 and $5 to $10 a day to run your ad. I mean, how many days are you running a particular ad? Because things are moving quickly. What would you say is the because you're not gonna run an ad for longer than a week or something, really.
So it really depends on what your offer is and what your goals are. Because say for my service, I run my ads all the time when I need customers. But say for you have a seasonal offering. So that means that you're going to want to run them, I don't know, maybe a month before the season.
Yeah.
And then until that season opening ends. Right. And then you also might want to have different, this is my, if you get your CSA now, or, this is my promo code. If you have a reference and you get $50 off your, something like that, something to help like really bring them in and give them some incentive, that can make a really big difference.
I don't wanna do anything extra, but yeah. If I did, I could see the benefit of that.
Yeah, and yeah, as far as running ads for a week, that is something that I would almost never recommend. Like generally, the longer the better. And as far as like some people will do, okay, I want to run my ads from this time to this time, and they'll set an end date, which I do not recommend, because what ends up happening is that all of the ad spend will usually go out on the last day. It's like it'll kind of like, oh, a couple of dollars here, a couple of dollars here, and then on like the last 3 days, they'll spend all of it. So I always recommend running your ads without an end date set and just keep monitoring them. And when you're done, just turn them off.
That's good housekeeping.
Yeah.
That's real good.
Yeah, exactly, because otherwise it's gonna be.
What other housekeeping tips do you have? Don't settle in. Here you go.
I will just say that if you are running ads, do not turn your ads off at the campaign level ever, unless if you do not plan on running those ads again, because it just screws up all of the yeah. So that way, when you turn it back on, it's like starting from zero again. So always turn your ads off at the ad level, and then that will retain that algorithm, and then you can turn them back on and it'll start out right where it left off.
And that's like a stagnant, doesn't require any capital to be this idle ad.
Yeah, when you're turning it off, you're not spending anything. The ads are off, they're not taking any money. Yeah.
I know you still have more presentation, but at any point, could you show us like what the Facebook ad dashboard looks like?
I don't know if I'm gonna have time for that today,
Okay.
but
That's all.
I do have a sign up sheet that if anybody is interested in talking more about
Yes.
Sir.
ads, they can just put your name
Okay.
here. Yeah, so go ahead and do that if you want to. Okay. So I want to share with you some of the 3 most common mistakes that people make when they're running their own ads. And I just want to say it's really easy to do. If you've been doing these things, it's okay. It's not your fault. Do you want me to read this out?
No.
Okay. So the first mistake is boosting posts. And this is a bit confusing because Facebook can, do you have a question, Ruby?
What is boosting posts?
Okay, I'll explain that now. So Facebook actually considers this to be running an ad. The thing is that it's not really running an ad. It's technically running an ad, but you don't have the same freedom or resources as running an ad in the ad manager. So if you have a business page and you're creating a post, you'll see a little rocket on there that says, want to boost this post? Just put a little money behind it and we'll put this in front of a ton of different people. And the thing with this is that you can't retarget them. You can't access the same insights or data or metrics. You have limitations in your ad format, in your placement, in your targeting, and you also can only run them for a short amount of time. So there's just a ton of limitations there, and it can be easy to just be like, oh, I'm running an ad. Like, let me just put $5 behind this post and get in front of people, and it can feel like an easy win, but it just isn't any long-term strategy. Like, it's kind of just a bit of a waste of money. You're not utilizing the resources that are available to you in the ad manager. So don't do this.
Consumer level version of ads.
Exactly.
You're talking prosumer level.
Exactly. This is like, it's kind of like, it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm gonna get started, I'm gonna do this. And I've even seen courses who promote doing this. Like, no. Like, please. So that's what I wanted to just bring that up.
And no retargeting, that's all it is you need.
I know, it's like, what?
That's all they just give us money. Forget about it.
Exactly. It's like a pat on the back for being seen.
Well, and
Good job.
bring in some results, like not to say that you can't, like you're getting your ad in front of people still, so you can, but it's just like for the long term, it's just not gonna be super effective, like if you actually want to be making a longer term impact and making the biggest like thing with your buck, right? So don't boost posts. Instead, build your ads in the ad manager. And that way you can take advantage of all the tools. You can really put your ads in front of the exact people that you want to. You can get the exact data that you need to understand how to optimize better. And you can just take advantage of making the best money out of what you're putting in. So mistake and solution 1. Mistake and solution 2 is not having a long-term strategy. So a lot of people feel like, oh, I can just get in front, I can just throw an ad on for like a week or two and expect to have some really great results. But because of the optimization process within Facebook, when you don't have a long-term strategy, you're not really able to make the type of impact that you want to. And you're not able to take advantage of the people who are getting to know you and need that time to kind of build up, okay, I do really want this service and I am going to overcome my fears and get it, because for a lot of us, specifically myself, like I need some time to get familiar with something before I spend money on it. And I'm like, okay, I want to know that I can trust this person. I want to know that they're going to give me some value, and I want to see them a couple of times, unless if it's something that I really need right now. But like normally I'll do some research if it's something I really need. So when I'm seeing an ad, I want to be able to have that trust building factor, which happens over time. So instead of not having this long-term solution strategy, have one. So build a 90-day plan minimum. It takes 90 days to fully optimize your ads on Facebook. That's the time frame that the pixel takes to season. It will do it faster if you're spending a lot of money, but that's on average how long it takes to optimize your ads completely. So when you're building your long-term strategy, you need to know exactly what actions that you want your leads to take. So you need to be really clear on what you want them to do. And then you need to make it really easy and straightforward for them to do it. So it's like you have to really spell things out and build that kind of strategy. So if you want somebody to book a call, that's what you're going to be focusing on. If you want somebody to go to your page and buy your bike, then that's what you're going to be focusing on. And then you need to also just create a plan to retarget the people who have shown interest, but not actually taken that action. So that's kind of the way to break down how to create that strategy. And so that you're really taking advantage of all of the options within the platform. So mistake number 3 is shiny object syndrome. It's crazy because there's so many strategies out there, and so there's so many ways to get lost going down different rabbit holes. Like, oh, I want to try this strategy for $35, and then it didn't work. I'm going to try this one and spend $50 over here. And then when you're trying all these different strategies, you end up really confusing the pixel, and the data just becomes like an absolute mess. So really, this is just a recipe for disaster, because you need to know how to take your customer from not knowing you at all, from a complete stranger, to becoming comfortable with you, to actually buying your product. And so you need to really stay focused, which is what I'm getting now. Stay focused on that one strategy that you choose before you move on to the next. So you need to try out each angle of the one strategy that you're focusing on before you move on to the next. And what this means is you need to take note of the data that you're getting and then optimize where needed. And in order to get a clear sense of what didn't work and what you need to do instead.
And you said that was like 90 days really before you can thoughtfully do that.
So it's either, so 90 days is how long it takes to fully optimize a ad campaign, but you can get that data before 90 days depending on how much you're spending.
Right.
So if you're spending more, you can get those metrics really quite quickly, and get a clear understanding of what's not working and how to make it better. But say you're only spending like few dollars a day, then it will take probably longer than 90 days.
Sure.
Yeah, so a recommended, say for clients that I work with, if we're testing out a certain lead magnet, we will spend $500 before we decide that this lead magnet is crap or not. So if there's nothing and then that's like that amount of money will bring you the exact data that's going to give you complete clarity.
What's the duration?
Exactly.
What's the duration of that $500? Like,
It depends on each client's.
because I mean, it's like $20 a day for however long, and that's like.
I recommend $20 a day or $50 a day or $100 a day. It depends on their particular how much money they have to put into it. So the more that you can spend per day, the faster you're gonna get that data, and the faster you can change and tweak it and do something that is working if that's not working. Or the faster you can make a bunch of money back by selling whatever your service is.
Right,
So it's like the more that you can spend, the better, but you can also end up spending, like when I ran my first ad for the food business, I wasn't spending very much. I was spending like $10 a day because
you don't know.
it's a tiny, well, also because it's a tiny town, like
Yeah.
there's nowhere for it to go, like, but if you're targeting 30 million people, you need to be spending more in order to get in front of the right amount of people.
Yeah,
Whereas if you're targeting like a really small area of like 500,000 people, you're gonna be spending less, and still be getting in front of the right people.
okay,
So that's kind of gonna depend, and generally, like if you have an online service or something like that, a bigger audience is good, like 1 to 5 million is like ideal. But in a small town, you just work with what you got.
yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yes,
So being a business in a small town,
yes.
a lot of what you're talking about is data and the pixel and algorithms and all this stuff. But when I've run campaigns, there's like a subjective aspect of the campaign where it's harder for me to tell if it translates into sales. People will see me on the street. Oh, I've been seeing your stuff. Oh, it's looking really good. Or, oh yeah, aren't you doing that? Like, it's not like I can definitely track that to a purchase, but I have a feeling, at least on the awareness level, it helps. So do you have any insight on that? Or are you just strictly focused on data?
So I would say that the most important thing is results. So if you're not getting any results, something probably needs to be changed. If you want awareness, then that's good. And if you're happy with that, that's good. But if your point is to bring somebody in and have some real like cash in your pocket or whatever it is that you're looking for, then if you're running ads and you're not getting that at all, then something needs to be changed on the campaign, because that's not working. Even if the data says, this is wonderful, you're getting great results on your ads, if you're not actually making money, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that's what actually matters, is your clients being in your sphere.
Yeah.
Having clients.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, any other questions? Okay. We'll keep on moving on. We're doing great. Excellent. Okay, so the 6 fundamentals of effective Facebook advertising. Audience, messaging, timing and exposure. I guess I could have cut that into 2. Social proof, relevant targeting, retargeting, and the long-term strategy. So there's going to be a little bit of reiteration.
Are you okay if I take a screenshot?
Of
that?
course.
Okay, just want to be sure.
Yeah, yes, of course. Yeah, I will leave it up. Yeah, and if you want the whole presentation also, I can send it to you. Yeah, if that would be helpful. Okay, so number 1 is audience. There are 3 different types of audiences that you should be targeting on Facebook. That's your cold audience, who's the people who have never seen you before. Your lookalike audience, and that is something that you can create based on people who have already opted in. Say you have a really great email list, you have like 5,000 people on your email list, you can go in there, this is the best, and actually create a lookalike audience based on all those people in your email list. It's
Wow.
really helpful. It's really great. However, if you have a really small list, then it can not be as effective. So if you only have 100 people, it says that you can make one with 100 people, but it's not very effective. It's ideal to have more than 1,000. You can also create lookalike audiences based on the people who have opted in, who have booked a call with you, who have gone to your website or your sales page. And this is just a really great option because you're targeting the people who have specifically already shown interest in you. Yes.
Is that a workflow that Facebook has on there where it's like, let me build a new audience real quick, and is lookalike a drop down? Like, is it
You
a
can,
workflow?
yeah, so you can create it in the audience section. There's a couple of ways to do it, but yeah, you can go in there, create custom audience, create lookalike audience, and then they'll show you a bunch of ways to do it.
Of
Where you can pull it from. Exactly. Yeah. Yes, it's really great. And then there's the custom audiences, which is like your interest based, your demographics. your, all of those specific details. So you need to have, as I said before, you need to have a really thorough understanding of who your target audience is or your ideal avatar. And the one area that people tend to go wrong in is trying to serve too many audiences. So if you feel like, oh, you know, everybody could use my stuff, and you're just like getting really, like using a really wide audience, the thing with that is that it's very hard to make real results there, because even though everybody might be interested in your stuff, chances are someone really specific is interested in your stuff. And so the more that you can kind of dive into like who has shown interest in my stuff, who has actually bought my stuff, or who do I think wants my stuff. And one of the things here is that people often say, you are your ideal avatar a few years ago. So why is it that you do what you do? What is it that draws you to people? What is it that makes you stand apart from other people? And why would people be interested in buying from you as opposed to somebody else? So there's a lot of questions that you can ask yourself to really get clear on who that ideal avatar is, including interests, demographics, income, a lot of different things. But yeah, just decide on that one audience and test the one audience. And if after a certain amount of testing, it doesn't seem like that audience is actually interested, then choose a new audience. But be wary of not having a really niche down specific audience. Unless if you're in a really small town and you have everyone is interested in food. You're a farmer. Okay, 2 is messaging. So the messaging is defined as knowing how to talk to or write to somebody in the right way to get them to take your specific action. So as I mentioned before, you need to talk to someone differently the first time that you're ever engaging with them than the 4th or the 5th time that they actually have more of a sense of who you are. And you're going to, so how you'll separate this within the ad manager itself is that you'll create a different ad for somebody who is going out to like your cold audience, the people who don't know you, as opposed to the ad that you'll create to people going out to the people who are more familiar with you and your warm audience. And what, yeah, so it'll also depend on your business, so I won't get too specific into that. Timing and exposure. So the more that somebody is exposed to you and your brand, the more the know, like, and trust factor increases. And that's basically what people say like, the more that people see you and engage with you and become comfortable with you, the more likely that they are to trust you enough to buy whatever it is you're selling. Especially for higher ticket offers, which are more expensive, those tend to be emotional buys. More often than not, those really expensive things that you get, you might not really need them, but you feel like you need them, and so you justify it. So you can increase your exposure by advertising and retargeting, doing automated email nurture sequences. Does everybody know what those are?
No.
Okay, it basically means that if you have an offer and you want to share it with somebody, but you kind of need to warm them up and let them know who you are, you will create an email sequence that goes out to them that lets them know who you are, that lets them know why you have the authority to share what it is that you're sharing, and then slowly warms them up to the pitch, where they're like, hey, book a call with me, or hey, this is what my offer is. So you're sending them an email. I'm sure everybody has seen it in their email, where you sign up for something, you have like an opt-in or a class or something that you take, you give them your email, and then all of a sudden for the next 5 months, somebody's emailing you, hey, this is me, this is what I have to offer. So those are usually automated email nurturing sequences. You can also post daily to your page. You can have a free Facebook group and post a lot in that. Facebook Lives are really powerful tools in order to build that trust and rapport. Yes.
Does having a Facebook Live have any effect on your ads?
Oh, yes. It certainly does. What?
Could you repeat that?
She asked if having a Facebook Live has any effect on your ads. And this is something I'm going to get to later, but I will also get to it now because the question came up now. So when you do Facebook Lives often, you get into the AI in a way that drives your relevance score way up. So my team has done some tests between Facebook pages, that business pages that are completely empty, they don't have any posts. And then Facebook pages that are super active, doing a lot of Facebook Lives specifically, and have a lot of engagement and run the exact same ads. The difference was 88% improved on the pages that were active. Because the way that the Facebook system works is they want people to be active, and they give you little bonus points for being active, or however you want to say it. So yes, and also the other thing about Facebook Lives is that they build rapport and like express who you are. People get to know you through a Facebook Live so much more quickly than through an ad, like a post, like a written post. So it builds that sense of like, I know you, I've seen you, and especially if I've seen you live, now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is you live right now. Like it just, there's something about it, especially raw. Like don't even worry about putting on makeup and having everything perfect. Lighting is important, and background noise. But besides that, the more like raw and like authentic you are, the better. Like those just tend to work better than like super filtered, like professional style videos. So yes, videos, more videos. So we used to think that it was 7 contacts to make a sale, and now we know that it's a lot more than that, which is why you want your ads to be running longer term, because now people tend to just tune out. Like they might see you once and not even notice, and then the more that they see you, the more familiar they'll be with you. And so the more that you post and stay on the top of mind, the more quickly that you'll be able to kind of get a clear sense of if you're generating interest, or if your offer is viable, or what it is that you need to change. Okay, social proof. So if you're just starting off, you might not have a lot of social proof. This is usually referred to as testimonials, but in Facebook, it's likes, comments, and shares. That's the typical social proof, but nowadays also in Instagram, it's saves, and yeah, saves are really big if people have saved your ads. But the more social proof that your ad has, the better. It basically gets prioritized within the algorithm, and it will get shown to more people, the more comments. So reply to every comment. If anyone comments on your post, reply to it. The other thing is that even though you want a lot of comments, if people are commenting mean, nasty things, you're gonna want to hide them, because that actually is going to work against you. If you have a post that has a ton of just trolls on there, then that just makes your ad actually do worse. So there's a kind of a hack that you can use, and that is to ban certain comments on your page. So you can go into your settings and you can actually ban certain comments, you can ban swear words, you can ban whatever words that you don't want to show up in your ads. And then if you see people have written some rude stuff on your ads, hide it. Do not delete it. Just hide it. Because if you delete it,
It's less engagement.
right. Well, no, it's not even about less engagement. It's just that the algorithm doesn't like it. It feels like you're hiding something. I don't even know why, but it doesn't work well. So if you just hide it, that means no one can see it, but it's not. And if somebody does it a lot, just ban them. Just ban them from your page. Just delete them from your everything, because chances are they're not going to buy from you. They're just trolling. So yeah, so that's a little tip for avoiding that type of interest. The other thing is that when you have a lot of really negative comments on your stuff, people will scroll through and then they'll get distracted. And they'll just be like, oh, now I'm gonna reply to this rude comment. And then it just takes all of the attention away from your initial offer. And so even if they were maybe interested, now they're just like scrolling through these negative comments that somebody is posting, and they're not even interested anymore in what it is that they were initially clicking on your ad for. So it's just all bad news. Relevant retargeting. So you have to be in front of your lead and know exactly where they are at in the buying experience. You need to take them from being completely unaware of you to understanding your process and solution to actually trusting you and wanting to do business with you while you solve their problem, with you to solve their problem. So that really what I mean here is just you need to be in front of them throughout the whole journey in different ways. And that's why it's important to do different ads based on where people are at in your audience, because they're getting to know you in a different manner. And then the long-term approach, we already kind of discussed this, let's just scroll through. Any questions? Okay, we'll continue.
You're really booking through these.
I know, I'm sorry, I just really wanted to get
That's
as
great.
much in here as possible, because I know there's a lot to cover, trust me, I could have made this twice as long. There is so much. Okay, so the C.A.R.E method is connect, advertise, relevance, and exposure. You want me to keep that here? Actually, I'm gonna take some water.
This is so great, Quinna.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
I'm so honored to be here. Okay, so the C.A.R.E method is connect with content. So you need to create a lead magnet that matters. I will talk about lead magnets in just a moment. Excuse me. Advertise with ads that don't feel like ads. Our relevance through strategic retargeting using multi-layer intimacy, ads, group posts, page posts, email sequence. So instead of just saying I have an ad, you also have multi-layers of like being able to re-engage people on different forms. Exposure, pulling people to the next step with a call to action with different levels or layers of exposure. Okay, lead magnet. A lead magnet is a resource that's free that attracts possible leads to your campaign. So it is essentially to pique the interest or curiosity of your potential clients, and it needs to be relevant and useful to the person. Otherwise, they aren't going to trust you or respect you. So it's meant to establish authority and expertise, and it's basically just letting people know that you know and understand and can provide value in what they had. It's saying you know who they are, how they're struggling, and that you were in that position too until you created this great solution, which is your service. So it's not going to be some, like, you don't want to try to reel people in with some type of lead magnet that's not actually valuable, that you don't actually find has any value, because otherwise, like I opted into a call once. It was like a free class, a free master class that promised all these great things. And then the whole entire class, she just tried to pitch her program from the very, very first. It was just testimonials. And I was just like, there was no value for me. Like, I don't trust you anymore because you did not even teach me anything. You just told me that you wanted me to buy your high ticket program. So that is, in my opinion, not the effective way. Like, you need to actually show them how you can help. So you can do this by, it's usually in the format of a checklist, a template, a cheat sheet, a guide or a PDF or a masterclass. And the more effective ones are short, simple, and to the point. So some people have said, oh, I want a lead magnet. That's like my free book, my free ebook. No, like people are not going to, chances are people are not going to actually, they might read the first page and then fall off and then feel guilty about it and not want to talk to you anymore. So keep it really simple and short and to the point.
Something you're
and
giving away.
high
for
valuable.
free,
Exactly.
that they
And
can learn.
it's in exchange for their contact information.
Yeah.
So it's most effective when you have an email sequence that you want to set them up with. So it's a long-term strategy.
And kind of on this note of short, simple, and to the point, my mind keeps going back to this Facebook Live. That's so effective. Does it, like, how long? Like a 2-minute Facebook Live, a half-hour does it just depend?
So
What the
I like
subject
to tell
is?
people, start where you are, start where you can, do
Mhm.
whatever you can. Longer is better in the long term, because the longer that people are spending time with you, the more that they're getting to know you, the more that they're trusting you. So longer is better, but when you're first starting, 1 minute is great.
Okay.
If you can get to 5 minutes, amazing. Like I know initially it can be a little challenging and a little nerve-wracking to get on. And like, if you don't want to do a Facebook Live, just pre-record your video and start there. Just start wherever you can, because the sooner that you can start, the better. And the more like comfortable and authentic you can feel, your audience will feel that as well. So like if you're on there and you're like, like the whole time, your audience is gonna really feel that discomfort. And it will be a little less effective.
And as far as,
feel sorry for you.
you make them uncomfortable, and as far as algorithms go, is there a better time of day to do Facebook Live, or just when you're inspired in a moment, whether it's morning, night,
I mean, in general,
lunchtime?
it's probably good to do it when the most people are active, which when you're scheduling your post, it'll usually say, I think people are usually really active around 4 or 5. But I think it also just depends on your target audience, like what time do you think that your target audience would be the most active? So it'll probably depend on age range and such like that, or like even what type of jobs they have, if they work for themselves or if they work 9 to 5 or okay. But the cool thing about Facebook Lives is that when you post your Facebook Live as an ad, it immediately goes to the very top of the feed. So it always gets prioritized. And you can always, if you have like a Facebook Live that you posted on your business page that's doing really well, you can take that and then turn it into an ad. Because organic content tends to work really well once it's been put into an ad. So that's a little tip.
Oh, and something to that is that like Facebook Lives, for me, seem to be effective when it's surrounding something that is time bound, like let's say someone was doing a grand opening or a ribbon cutting, then it's live at that, and that dictates the time of the live, as opposed to like, oh, I'm going to go live and essentially do a canned video. But something that might be effective for you is like, here's a tour of my apothecary, and you go through, but I think if it's time bound, it's better if it's something that's live and people want to see, but they can't be there.
And people love being behind the scenes. Like if you have something and you're like, oh, look at this is what it looks like behind the scenes. People want to be in on whatever it is that you're doing.
So you saying that pre-recorded versus live, I mean, that's it.
So live is
mean,
preferable,
Yeah,
but
right.
pre-recorded is good too.
Yeah.
Video is good
Mhm.
in general. Live is best, but sometimes it can feel like a big, like if you haven't done a lot of pre-recorded video in general, then it might feel really intense and intimidating to be like, okay, all of a sudden now my first video ever is live. And
Because it's live, maybe it's not like you do your talk or whatever it is that you do, and then you hit it to go live. It's going live from the moment.
exactly.
So you say, fuck, you didn't mean to, I'm sorry, but I'm just talking about, something like, oops, because something, right? It's on there, right?
Exactly, exactly. It's
That's
live the whole time.
It's probably to your
So-
benefit, just due to the authenticity.
People love it.
This children's thing, I'm just like, like you want to freeze, can you just retract it?
Yeah, I talked to someone who did a live video of like putting on her fake eyelashes, and she said it was complete mess. Like it was dropping everything, there was kids yelling, and it was a huge hit. Because people want, it's like, it's real, it's relatable. They're like, yeah, nobody's perfect, we all swear and make mistakes and do whatever, so.
And it's more entertaining than just putting on your eyelash.
Exactly, it's fun, it adds some more character to it.
It's not what you expect.
And putting on eyelashes is never graceful.
Let's keep it real. Yeah.
So Quinn, I think Ian had a question.
Yeah, I did. So it used to be, and I don't know if this is still true, because Facebook has to change it every 3 minutes, that having your primary live be at the same time every day or every week help the algorithm. Is that still
Absolutely,
true?
consistency is great. Yeah, yes, that does help.
So
And-
timing is part of that consistency still. They still, if you're gonna do anything, to do it like Thursday at 3 p.m. as much as you can, and then everything else additional to that is still the preferred.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other reason that that's helpful is because then people who are interested in your stuff, they will start to look forward to it. You know,
I have never seen that to be true, but maybe that's just my.
I think it also
Industry.
depends on who you're targeting
Yeah.
and how much engagement you have, because like for some pages, there's just no engagement, but it doesn't matter that nobody sees your stuff because the Facebook algorithm sees it. So, you know, that's the other thing is there can be a lot of, yeah, okay, I've only a couple minutes. There can be, I actually can't remember what I was saying. Okay, anyways, next.
Like there can be a lot of action, and even if it's not all positive, or even people see it, the algorithms are picking it up.
You're always feeding that.
It's like all text.
Always.
Yeah,
feeding.
exactly. Like a lot of pages, there might not be a lot of engagement from people, but because you're active on it, your ads are gonna be prioritized because the algorithm sees it. So that's more important. I think what I was gonna say is like, oh, actually, I can't, sorry, I can't remember.
And that live video is still there on your page, even when it's not live anymore.
Yeah,
If they cut it off, you can have it go away after 30 days.
I'm sure you
It'll
can
stay
remove
on-
it if you want to. If you're like, that was horrible. I'm gonna
Otherwise
delete
it will
that.
stay.
Yeah, it'll stay on there, exactly. Yeah, so it looks like we have 1 minute left, so basically the lead magnet structure is they download the lead magnet. Why they download the lead magnet is going to be specific to like what it is that they need to change. People often are going to make a change in their life unless if they're uncomfortable. When people feel great and wonderful, they're less likely to make changes. So you want to keep that in mind, whatever you're offering. Focusing on the negative tends to really work. Saying that you can solve, like actually being able to solve whatever it is that they're struggling with is going to go a lot further than being able to make better what they have that's already working. So that can be something good to keep in mind. But yes.
You're highlighting their weakness.
Exactly. You're also letting them know that you understand where they've been. Because chances are that most of us, the biggest, most powerful parts of ourselves come from the ways that we've suffered. So if we've been through some really gnarly stuff, that can be what strengthens us to realize, oh, this is how I can help somebody because I survived this. And I know that you can too. And I have the tools to help you get through it. So buy my service or whatever. Yeah.
So I want to make sure you have a chance to tell people how they can reach you and what your business is and all that stuff.
Yes, so if anybody has put their information on there, I will contact you if you want to talk more about advertising for your business. And if anybody wants to work with me or learn more about what that looks like, then I'd be happy to call you and talk about that. I like to help businesses to scale through figuring out their ads and doing it really effectively. And I also recently created a program that teaches people how to do it themselves. So I have both the done for you service where I do everything for you, or the do it yourself service with me hand holding the whole time and literally helping you to optimize and write and figure out everything to make your campaign successful. So if you're interested, I have spaces available
Nice.
So a website,
now. My website is quinnawater.com. Pretty easy.
oh, your computer and everything. Awesome, that was so great. Yeah, I wanted, here's a, so what did you call it, social,
All about advertising.
no, social, you know, testimonials.
What about-
Yeah.
Social-
Social proof here. Quinna is holding my hand through an ad campaign. It's awesome. I'm learning a lot, so it's cool. And we don't have it in the books yet, but there's 2 incredible lunch and learns coming up. And what? The instructors are most likely in the room right now. No, Drew's gonna do one, I think. It's all, and what's it on? We're working on it, but marketing brand along the lines of marketing branding.
Likely branded.
Yeah, Ian?
I think we're doing design your dream paycheck, right? Where you
Ooh.
Yeah. You need to make to survive personally, like survive not as I'm eating top ramen every night, but survive thriving. And then using that, what I call your anchor number to determine what your business revenue goal needs to be in order to get there.
Cool.
I love it.
Me too.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say wave apps, but that'd be good too.
Yeah, way down.
No, I like this. I like the other one better. So you can tell we're being a little fluid about this, but we're gonna continue the train. And thank you, everybody for donating. And if anyone has any questions, I'm gonna be around. I hang around and thanks for showing up.
Cool.
Thanks for doing that.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.
Okay, see everybody online. Thanks, Michael.
What's my date for that?
Exactly. Today is